All right, this video is a request. Shout out to my buddy Chris Shasta. What's going on, brother? This is an answer to your question about life after death and ascension and reincarnation and all that. Okay, this scene. Oh, turn that down a little bit. This scene here is from a movie called Enter the Void. Okay. It was a very good movie, very long, something you really have to pay attention to. It was based on the Tibetan Book of the Dead. Okay, what's going on in this scene is this kid's an American. He's in Japan, I believe. His friend just narked on him. He had drugs on him. He was trying to flush his stash in the bathroom there, and the cop shot him through the door. So what you're watching here is him falling to the ground, and you're basically watching sort of the conscious perception of death, from his point of view. Okay. Now, something I'd like to point out in the Tibetan Book of the Dead, it says it takes roughly 49 days to reincarnate. Okay. Now, this is very interesting because when the fetus is developing in the mother, the pineal gland, or what we know as the seat of the soul, that psychic chakra, shows up in the baby at exactly 49 days. All right, this is what they say in the Book of the Dead, is how long it takes to reincarnate. Okay, and in Buddhism, they teach that addiction to the physical world here is what causes you to reincarnate. So this is why Buddha taught to live the way that he did. So you could lose your attachments to the physical world and all of the things that make you suffer here, and you could stop the process of reincarnation. Okay? This is very similar to, I believe, Jesus talking about, what's happening in here. Jesus making references to, if you want to be perfect, give away all your possessions to the poor, and then you'll have treasure in heaven. Then come follow me. It's detaching from material wealth and addiction in order to, ascend to a higher plane. Now, he's losing consciousness here. Everything physical, his biological system is going black, but there's still a point of awareness in him, his soul, that you could see him passing through his soft tissue, his vessel, his hot rod, if you will. And expand this. And I've had experiences like this after practicing ayahuasca shamanism, after doing an ayahuasca journey. I've had an out of body experience like this where I floated and saw my body, and then later, lucid dreaming that night, astral projected to some crazy looking places. Now, the way our matrix is set up here, if you want to call it the fear control matrix, okay, your classic story of, here you go, right here, the out-of-body experience, floating above your body, and then people going into a light, and stories vary at this point. A lot of people just experience the light and what they call just divine love and oneness and this and that. Now, at the end of this movie, when he's done with this journey, this 49-day journey, where he's pretty much having a recap of his entire life, okay, and based on, if you want to say karma, it really has a lot to do with mathematics and electromagnetism and sacred geometry and all that really that determines, and probably some things you agree to before you come here also, like soul contract type stuff that determines, actually at the end of this movie, basically the light at the end of the tunnel, I tell people, is like a, this has to do with reincarnation. It's like a reprocessing system that has to do with the demiurge. The light at the end of the tunnel, as funny as it may sound, is basically the light coming out of another mother's vagina. And at the end of this film, it's actually his karma is keeping him tied to his sister. So he's actually, after he passes on, his sister becomes his mother. Now, in the Gnostic times, they taught, the ancient Gnostics taught salvation through Gnosis. They said that once you became aware of the demiurge and the archons and how the physical world is an illusion, and that there exists a higher God in the higher heavens, and you have awareness of that you can escape this physical world, which is essentially a prison, a hell, and you could ascend higher. And that's what I'd like people to, one of the many things I'd like people to know through this page, that you don't want to reincarnate here, be addicted to the physical world, fall for this ploy that there's a heaven on earth here where, I said in my last video, the idea of heaven on earth is just a satanic ideology of, heavy indulgence, and you don't want to fall for this shit, and then you don't want to go into the light, and you don't want to stay trapped in this place. There are higher frequencies that exist, much higher frequencies that you can ascend to, and a much higher, just all loving God, that you, trust me, you'd much rather be around instead of the demiurge. The demiurge, that Lucifer manifestation, is just, I refer to him constantly as just a big bag of dicks. Demiurge is a big bag of dicks, and every single day this place is just turning more and more into his home, and you could just see his influence, and it just fucking repulses me. So there you go, people. There's your out-of-body experience. There's reincarnation explained, and now you are aware, you are consciously aware that higher heavens exist, and you don't want to come back to this place.